In Jewish mythology and folklore, Lilith is a raven-haired demon who preys on helpless newborn infants and seduces unsuspecting men, using their wasted seed to spawn hordes of demon babies. Although her name only appears once in the Hebrew Bible, over the centuries Lilith has been cast as Adam's rebellious first wife, the soulmate of Samael the demon king, and more recently as a feminist icon. So, which is the real Lilith? Lilith embodies stunning beauty and ample proportions, epitomizing feminine grace alongside Eve. Unlike Eve's fiery locks, Lilith once boasted platinum blonde hair, porcelain skin, piercing blue eyes, and a slender yet alluringly curvaceous figure. Towering over Eve, she stood at an impressive 6 feet 3 inches tall. Like Eve, she adorned a crown of leaves, hers intricately fashioned from branches or twigs, adding to her ethereal allure. After being driven out of the Garden of Eden, Lilith underwent a profound transformation. Her once radiant hair darkened to a deep, blackish-red hue, while her complexion took on a light brown tint. The once vibrant blue of her eyes faded to a haunting dark yellow, described as having the appearance of the nighttime sky carefully woven on her head, a subtle homage to her ability to shapeshift into an owl, a creature of the night, and her eventual metamorphosis into a demon of darkness. Additionally, she bears scars on her hands and feet, reminders of the wounds inflicted by Senoi, Sansanoi, and Semangeloth, who threatened to drown her should she refuse to heed God's commands. After becoming the Empress of Hell, Lilith was clothed in only the finest noble attire, which possessed a consistent Gothic theme to it, yet demonic in nature. Her garments, often composed of thin, revealing fabrics in shades of black or dark royal purple, exuded an aura of sinister elegance. Instead of conventional hair, her head was adorned with fiery quills of emerald sheen, accompanied by scales, which extended down her spine to form a reptilian tail tipped with savage barbs. Her hands, too, bore a savage aspect, with 5-fingered appendages culminating in curved claws. Sharp, fang-like teeth adorned her mouth, perfect for rending her victims, while her eyes glowed with smoldering crimson intensity, devoid of pupils, adorned with unearthly jewelry only found in the depths of the underworld. Her sclera glowed red, contrasting with yellow irises and black pupils. Lilith, formed from the same primordial substance as Adam by God, was his initial partner. During a stroll through the ancient wilderness, Lilith encountered Lucifer shortly after his admonition by the Lord. Their exchange was unexpectedly amicable, leading to Lucifer persuading Lilith to join his cause. He argued that as she, like Adam, was molded from the same clay, she stood as his equal and should not be subservient. No longer willing to be a puppet, Lilith found enlightenment in Lucifer's message. Immediately upon returning, Lilith and Adam began to bicker as she refused to lay at the bottom, while Adam was on top during intercourse, only for Adam to counter her by saying that he will only be on top since he's superior. But Lilith rebutted him by saying that they were both made equal, with their argument going back and forth. Lilith basically demanded equality from Adam, and failing to acquire it, exclaimed God's ineffable name and left him in anger. Adam, in return, complained to God that his wife had deserted him. God sent 3 angels to take Lilith back to Eden, who found her in the Red Sea. When they told her that she must return to Eden, Lilith refused and blasphemed them, to which they pinned her hands and feet with their lances and held her above the Red Sea. From there, they began to threaten her of the consequences should she defy the word of God, the first of which was that she would be tossed in the Red Sea to drown, but she refused. They threatened her a second time, which was the loss of 100 of her children every day unless she returned to Adam. She again refused and was punished by having all of her children slain, though she struck back by saying that 100 more will rise in response. Regardless, she was distraught. and completely left the Garden of Eden, sulking in misery and abandonment. At some point, Lilith crossed paths with an abyssal creature named Tanin-Iva, forging a strong bond with it, eventually becoming her steed. Tanin-Iva guided Lilith to the archangel Samael, who had been exiled from the mountain of God due to his misanthropic beliefs about humanity. Initially wary of Lilith's human nature, Samael found her arguments compelling. Lilith denounced the notion of being subservient to Adam as a mere facade, obscuring her true potential. She expressed a desire to distance herself from human affairs in the forthcoming centuries, aspiring to transcend them rather than remain beneath them. Aligning with Samael's perspective on the destructive tendencies of humanity and the absence of equality in their societies, Lilith earned his trust, especially as she tended to his injuries. For refusing to reunite with Adam and aiding Samael, Lilith faced a harsh consequence, the daily loss of 100 of her children at the hands of the three angels. This deepened Lilith's bitterness toward the divine, especially Adam, who was favored over her. Beside her faithful companion Tanin-Iva, Lilith brooded by the Red Sea until the arrival of Lucifer and Samael, following the war in heaven and their journey to the Garden of Eden. Driven by her indebtedness to Lucifer for freeing her from Adam's dominion, Lilith aligned herself with the fallen archangels on their mission to defy God. They devised a plan to strike during the angels' worship, aiming to challenge divine authority. The quartet encountered the angel Gadriel, standing watch at the gates of Eden. In a moment of cunning, Lucifer summoned several stars, hurling them into Gadriel's line of sight. They danced around him, momentarily bewildering the angel. Seizing the opportunity, Lilith commanded Tanin-Iva to launch an assault, grappling Gadriel by the throat and rendering him powerless. With the path clear, Satan and Lilith stealthily infiltrated the Garden of Eden, while Lucifer departed for hell. However, the skirmish left Tanin-Iva wounded, forcing the creature to retreat. Inside the garden, Lilith hesitated to confront Adam, recognizing their equality as beings formed from the same primordial substance by God's hand. Thus, she refrained from harming him. Thus, she directed her attention towards Eve, recognizing Eve's origin from Adam's rib and perceiving her as submissive and easily influenced. Assuming the guise of an owl, Lilith perched atop a tree where Eve slept, weaving whispers of power, doubt, independence, and self-reflection into Eve's dreams. These words stirred Eve's curiosity, priming her for Satan's manipulation. Disguised as a serpent, Satan tempted Eve with the forbidden fruit, promising her equality with God if she and Adam consumed it. However, Lilith's ruse was uncovered by one of the garden's inhabitants, a majestic wolfhound later known as Maera, who drove her away. Despite this setback, Satan succeeded in persuading Eve to eat the fruit, and they fled from Eden under the cover of darkness, guided by Tanin-Iva. Following the angel's fall and Lilith's complete severance from heaven and humanity, she fled with Samael, now called Satan. Legend holds that they consummated their union within a cavern, resulting in Lilith birthing the first generation of demonic progeny known as the Lilim. In retaliation, God banished Satan deeper into the pit, where his corporeal form is bound, while his essence roams the borders of the ninth circle. Furthermore, as forewarned by the angels, Lilith's offspring met a grim fate at their hands. With Satan's imprisonment, Lilith turned to Asmodeus, bearing more demonic progeny and sowing chaos wherever she went. Lilith ascended to become a consort of Asmodeus, and together they birthed the Asmodai, a second generation of Lilim. Lilith personally oversaw the upbringing and training of these demonic offspring, often employing harsh and merciless methods. In time, Lilith's status skyrocketed as she wed Lucifer, who proclaimed himself Emperor of Hell. This union elevated Lilith to the unprecedented position of Demon Queen and Empress of the Inferno. Their partnership bore Mundus, a potential heir to the throne of Hell. Despite Lilith's efforts to groom Mundus into a formidable ruler, Lucifer harbored no particular affection for his son. Following her banishment from the Garden of Eden and the entirety of heaven, Lilith ventured onto the primeval earth, encountering its ancient and savage inhabitants. Recognizing her role in birthing the demons now inhabiting hell, Lilith chose to fashion earthly monsters as well. In various accounts, Lilith was revered as the progenitor of vampires and other monstrous creatures, earning her the epithets of the first vampire and the mother of monsters. Her association with vampirism stems from her creation of the Turok-Han, regarded as the earliest vampires in history. The Turok-Han wreaked havoc across the antediluvian earth, their terror immortalized on ancient Mesopotamian pottery. In her quest for vengeance against heaven, Lilith unleashed a reign of terror upon women in childbirth, newborn infants, especially males, and men who slept alone. However, she was compelled to swear to the three angels that upon encountering their names or images on an amulet, she would spare infants and mothers. This oath deepened her hostile relationship with Lilith, the Archangel of night and guardian of children. Another rendition of the tale, found in the Midrash Abkir, recounts that following Cain's fateful act, which introduces death into the world, Adam and Eve part ways, with Adam undergoing a 130-year period of fasting. During this time, Lilith seizes the opportunity to exploit Adam's weakened state, using his own sin against him to forcibly couple with him. From this union, she births numerous demonic entities, notorious for their malevolent influence on humanity. In a variant of this story, Naima, Lilith's sister, assumes a similar role, birthing the Nashim, who assist their mother in seducing the Watchers. Regardless of the specific version, Lilith is depicted as the embodiment of lust, luring men astray, and as a malevolent figure who brings harm to infants, perpetuating her sinister reputation as a child-killing witch. When Jesus was born, hell shook in terror and awe of the Messiah's birth as the demons screamed in profanity against the Creator and the heavens. Lilith offered to devour Jesus as a showcase of hell's power over the light, and that by consuming Jesus, the darkness will consume the light. Her offer came to an accord by the powers of hell, and she, alongside her steed Taniniva, set course to kill the infant Christ, striking on the night of his birth and accompanied by several Lilim. As the infant Messiah slumbered in his crib, Lilith instructed Taniniva to cloak the barn where he lay in darkness, with Jesus himself being the sole source of light, disturbing both Lilith and the creature. Taniniva manipulated Jesus' light, allowing the Lilim to approach and attempt to dismember him before offering his body to Lilith. However, their gruesome act was thwarted by the swift intervention of the three angels, Senoi, Sansenoi, and Semangelof, who swiftly dispatched the Lilim. The situation escalated when the Archangel Lila, accompanied by her wolfhound Myera, appeared on the scene. Lilith engaged Lila in battle over Jesus, while Taniniva confronted Myera. Despite the serpent's ferocious resistance, it proved unable to overcome the formidable hound. Witnessing Taniniva's brutal defeat at the hands of the three angels and Myera, Lilith was consumed by fury. She launched herself at Layla, morphing into a monstrous owl-like creature of darkness. Yet Layla swiftly countered by veiling Lilith's eyes, rendering her blind and weakened by the brilliance of the stars. In a swift move reminiscent of her encounter with Gadriel, Myera subdued Lilith by the throat, preventing any escape. Despite Lilith's desperate transformation into a snake, Myra maintained her hold. Confronted by the overwhelming power of the great wolfhound, Lilith conceded defeat, swearing never to harm the infant Jesus again. With her pride shattered, Lilith retreated to hell in a storm of humiliation and fury, only to face further scorn from Satan for her failure. Lilith played a pivotal role in breaking the seal imprisoning Lucifer, marking the start of the apocalypse. She inflicted severe torment on Virgil in hell, alongside other malevolent entities, contributing to his suffering. Despite Virgil's escape attempts, Lilith ensured his return to torture. Virgil remembered Lilith as one of his most tormenting adversaries. Lilith indirectly claimed Virgil's soul due to her knowledge of Lucifer's plan for a new world order, a plan Mundus was less informed about. Because Virgil's cooperation with Lilith was crucial in breaking the first seal, she asserted her ownership over his soul, despite Mundus initially claiming it. Lilith's actions, in collaboration with Mundus, shattered Virgil's will, but did not prevent his eventual escape from hell. However, Lilith viewed Virgil's escape as a victory, as it broke the first seal and initiated the apocalypse. As Virgil fled, Lilith's signals spread throughout hell, announcing the breaking of the seal and heralding Lucifer's inevitable return. Initially, Lilith was independent, gentle, and amicable, yet also brash and proud, leading her to reject Adam's advances due to feeling inferior. She believed she deserved equal treatment as Adam, expressing frustration at being viewed as second to him. Lilith's rebellion led her to join rebel angels during the war in heaven, where she met Satan, sharing a sense of betrayal. After being banished from heaven and eloping with Satan, Lilith became deceptive and cunning, manipulating her sister Eve into initiating the fall of man. Her treatment in heaven fueled her spite and vengefulness towards the divine, leading her to create the first monsters on earth and drive mankind into chaos and sin. While Lilith cares for her children, she disciplines them harshly and remains opportunistic, seeking power through others. Despite her sadistic nature, Lilith surprisingly cares for Eve and her sisters, displaying affection and pity towards them. However, Lilith remains malicious, indulging in devouring human infants and causing miscarriages. Lilith is also promiscuous, engaging in sexual relations with demons, gods, and angels, with a preference for Lucifer, Satan, and Asmodeus. Despite her lack of love, Lilith exhibits genuine fondness for certain individuals.